The Torah tells us that Binyamin had 10 children. Bela, Vecher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Echi, Varosh, Mupim, Vechupim, Va'ard. But what the Gemara tells us, the Gemara in Sota, that each of these children were named after Yosef. Bela, he was Nivla Beina Umos, that he was swallowed up by the other nations. Ard, that he went down into the among the other nations. Mupim, that everything came out of his mouth was holy. Chupim, that I didn't even get to see his chuppah, and he didn't get to see mine. What made that so unique was that encapsulated who Binyamin was. Binyamin didn't live his life merely for himself, but for a higher purpose, for others. A hope that, yes, he may not ever see Yosef, but a recognition that he has something greater to live for, to give over a legacy, to preserve what Yosef represented. And that's what makes a person successful, when they can look beyond their Dalet Amos and say, my life isn't just for me, it's about how can I impact every other person around me. Kulam Nikru al Shmo, each of his children were named for Yosef, not for him. Yes, he was concerned, yes, he missed him, but he realized that a life well lived, is a life lived for others, in the service of others. And perhaps that explains the story, the dynamic between Yehuda and Yosef in the beginning of this week's Parsha. Yosef made two claims. Yehuda made two claims to Yosef in order to ensure that Binyamin went back home. First, he said that he made a promise to Yaakov that he's going to bring him home, and if not, he's going to sin for all of his days. It'll be as the sin is for his entire days. Yosef was not moved. When Yehuda spoke about himself, what he did, his commitment, his dedication, Yosef didn't care. But when Yehuda said further, how can I go back to my father and that child isn't there? That struck a nerve with Yosef. Not only did it strike a nerve with Yosef because Yosef said, wait a second, you didn't have that type of mentality, that feeling when you sold me into slavery. But Yosef also understood that Yehuda finally figured it out. He came to the realization that stop living for myself and live for other people. I can't do this to my father. Yeah, maybe I made a mistake all those 22 years ago and I was focused on myself. But now I've learned that message. To live, not for me, but to live for others. And when we do that, our families will be stronger, our marriages will be stronger, our connection to our communities will be stronger, and we will be better off for it. Have a wonderful Shabbos.